So, welcome and welcome back to Pon's Tinkering Garage. And today I'm in the process of uh, painting my newest project, and that is Toby. So, this is my 3D human figure. Uh, this is my 3D human figure, and it has not been rigged, it's just a model. So, I'm in the process of making a human skin shader for her and yeah, but now I actually want to talk about I want to answer the question that a lot of beginner will have when it comes to building their own human models in Blender. And the first question that will come to mind is basically, where do I start? Like, where do I start building a human figure or a human model in Blender? Right. So, the first step that I would recommend is basically get a reference. Preferably, it is a 3D reference that you can build your model on, basically. So, of course, one of the great option is Toby here. She is a full model of a human figure, and yeah, she's great. But of course, you can get something else. It's up to you. And the other great choice is that Blender actually right now, it actually has been some times though. So they offer the human base meshes in their demo files, right? You can get it in Blender org, download demo files, and you get something like this, right? You got that full thing. So you got this cartoony, you get this. I think this is like a body parts thing, and right here you get this realistic part that if you're interested in making like a human figure, and I would assume that it is gonna be realistic human figure. So yeah, this is actually a pretty solid choice as well, though. Of course, I mean, like, if you come to details, it's not going to be very detailed, and it's not going to be very pretty. For the first problem with it is basically it uses multi-res, right? So that's a big no-no for me, but it's definitely a good starting point. So yeah, this is definitely a good option if you want something for free. And yeah, so that's a part of getting a reference, a 3D reference, if you could, before building your own 3D model, a 3D human model in Blender, right? So the next part is gonna be, oh, all right. So you've got a reference now, right? You've got this beautiful reference that you can work with, right? But of course, you have your own model, you have your own design, you have your own thing, and this is gonna be just a reference, right? So uh, in the end, you're gonna have to make your own thing. So I guess the next question that you will have is basically still the same. Where do I start? Which part should I start with first? Should I start it with the head? Should I start it with the body? Should I start it with probably the hands or the feet, right? And most 3D artists will point out that you should start with the head because, and that is almost correct though, because the reason being that once you've got the head done, you can actually use it to measure the rest of the body. You can use it. The more common method is basically use a head tolls, right? So you can use like a seven and a half head stall, so you can measure the head and you can measure it up to get the measurements of the remaining parts of the body. Or you can use Robert Beverly Hale's method using the cranial unit, and that's going to be like 11 and a half. So anything you choose, whether it's a head length or head tall, or you can use a cranial unit, either of those is going to be great. Yeah, you can use the head as a starting point. And that is almost correct, though. However, I want to take a step further, and I want to suggest a more definitive and, for me, a correct answer to the question of where do I start building a 3D human figure in Blender? And the answer to that is the eye. That's it. There, I said it. You should start building a human figure in Blender from the eye. And I want to make one great case for it, right? So the reason why we should start from the eye is because the eye is the only part of a human body that has a constant dimension. And that is 25 to 26 millimeters. So if you take a look at my eye model here, so let's hide it and let's just get the eyes. And I've got the mirror here. So if you take a look at that, and my eye model here does have that 26 millimeter across, so it's 26 millimeters to the side, to the top, but it's a little bit elongated because a human eye is kind of like a football, right? It's a little bit elongated at the front, so it's gotta be like a little bit longer for the Y dimension, right? So yeah, of course, it's also in the range. So it starts from 25. Some people have 25, some people have 26 millimeters, but that's it. That's the range we're talking about. And you can just pick a number. You can make your eye 25 millimeters, you can make it 26 millimeters, and it's gonna be great. And yeah, so that's a case for starting it with the eye because it's constant. It's just the only thing that's constant in a human body. And you can be someone like a Shaq O'Neal standing at 2.16 meters and your eye will exactly be the same with someone like Simone Biles, which stands at 1.42 meters. And that's a great thing about it because the rest of the body varies a lot. Some people have a bigger head, some people have a smaller head, some people have a bigger torso, some people have smaller torso, and some people have longer limbs, some has shorter limbs. And so if you use those body parts as the measurement stick for your model, you know, it's gonna be very hard because everyone has kind of a different ratio, right? So starting it with the eye is a very great idea because the eye is, just like I said, the eye is the only constant, the only body part that is constant in a human body. And yeah, so and yeah, however, the thing about this fact is it's kind of new for a lot of people because and it's kind of contradictory because a lot of us will have heard the term that, well, oh, she has a big, beautiful doe eyes, like Zoey Deschanel, or he has a small and squinty eyes, like Clint Eastwood. So, and that's also true. Like, you can look at their pictures, and it is true that Zoe has a bigger eyes in a way than Clint Eastwood. And that's the thing, though. When we say eyes, what we meant is basically the part of the eye that is exposed to us, that we can see. And that is determined by how big or small your eyelids opening is. So, meanwhile, the rest of the eye is actually kind of hidden inside the eye socket, right? So, for example, this is the eye. So, let's hide it. So, this is the full eyes, right? And when we turn on the model, those eyes is kind of hidden. Most of it, like the big chunk of it, is actually kind of hidden inside the eye socket. So so yeah, I mean, like, both is, I guess both are a true fact. Like, there is someone who has a big eye and small eye, but it's also true that their eyes are exactly the same, I guess. So that is two contradictory things. And yeah, so the other observation from that point is also that you will notice that whenever you say someone has a big doe eyes, it's usually it's usually people that is kind of smaller, or at least shorter, whether it's men or women. But usually women, though. Even if it's on men, like Elijah Wood. Like, let's check it out. Elijah Wood. Uh, you would notice that, well, he has a big, very blue eyes, and she and he is kind of on the shorter end. He he only stands at 1.68 meters. And meanwhile, whenever we talk about like a small squinty eyes like Clint Eastwood, you would notice that they are usually very big and very tall. He stands at Clint Eastwood stands at 1.93 meters. So so yeah, that is another point to prove that other parts of the body is kind of, varies a lot. Like, for example, like if you are very tall, your head, your skull will usually be bigger as well. Meanwhile, if you're kind of smaller or shorter, your your head will be kind of smaller as well. So that combination of, like literal eye opening, like the eyelids opening of the head, and also how big or small your head is, that combination actually plays a huge role in determining the perception of how big or small your eyes are. So if you're like a Clint Eastwood, which is very tall and have a bigger head, but you have like a smaller eye opening, your eyes will look in relationship with your head will look very, very small. Meanwhile, if you're very short and your head is kind of small and you have a big eyelids opening, your eye will definitely look very big instead. But that's just for the part of the eye that we can see. Meanwhile, for the eye itself, like the whole part of the eye, including the part that is hidden inside the eye socket, remains constant in size or dimension. And that size is 25 to 26 millimeters. So so that's basically the answer from me for the question of where do I start building a 3D human figure or model in Blender. Start with the eyes, guys. Just start with the eyes, and you're not gonna be wrong about it. Okay, that's it for now. I'll see you later.